All right, it's another cold Sunday. Sunday is shop day. I wasted a bunch of days this week just pushing snow around the yard. We've had, I think, three all-out blizzard days. So that's what living in Manitoba is like in the wintertime. I think I got this motor sorted out. I haven't primed it or anything. It's been sitting here since midweek when I last had a chance at it. Let's get the choke on. Let's give it a pull. New pull cord. Okay, well, I think that'll run once it's bolted on. So I think we're just about at assembly. We have to, so just to give you a bit of the mechanical side of this, this is a centrifugal speed clutch. Inside this what essentially is a brake drum on the outside are some weighted brake pads that as this thing as the motor, the inside spins faster, the pads will fight against the spring that's currently pulling them in. As you get up to about 1,000 RPM, they'll expand and brake against the outside of the drum. The outside of the drum is attached to a sprocketed pulley, I guess, and that's what'll drive it. So when the motor's at idle, disengaged, as it's revved up, then the clutch engages. That will go on the back of the motor, like that. On the transmission, matching hub and sprocket, and my supplier is, they sell rather than stocking every single possible combination, you buy the hub, you buy the sprocket, and then you weld them together so that they have these in different combinations of teeth. They have the hubs in different combinations of shaft, and I'm sure that saves them a ton of inventory. And so I got to weld that, and then that'll go on the transmission, and then they're connected together with the chain. So I'd have to mount it all up, measure the chain, put that together. The other thing that I'm missing is on the shifter on the transmission is this little square here, and somehow over the years we've been raiding this thing for parts, and the actual little plate that forms the lever has gone awry. So I've got to work up a new plate for that, and I'm going to make that out of aluminum. Aluminum is much easier to work than steel, and just as well stronger. So I got to make that, and I got to pull this hub out the same distance so we have that wheel spacing. So I got some jobs to do, but I think this is doable in the time I have available today. So I'll try to make sure I catch every step of this on video, but we'll see how it goes. All right, for the hub, I thought first of all I would just check and see how, get this motor in right here, how stubborn this was determined to be here. So can't pound it too hard. If I bend this, then my wheel's not going to be good. I don't think I'm making progress. I can move the shaft. There's a little bit of end play in the shaft itself. Nothing in the hub. And I feel like if you abuse this too much, you could end up damaging something in there. So reefing on this is not going to be a good solution. So I think I got to put a puller on here and do it that way. Okay, first step is to tap a center mark. It doesn't have to be perfect. This is not for machine purposes, but close to center is gonna help. Okay, and it's probably pretty hard metal, so I got a brand new sharp drill here, drill bit, and we'll just try to have it. That's not too bad. So I've got just drilled the center mark pretty much just to the shape of the drill bit, and that'll provide my puller something to seat on. Okay, so I got the puller on there, and I haven't tried it yet. I just snugged it up. I just want to make sure I get a sense of how far I'm going here. I'd like to not have to pound it back on again. So 1.5 inches is our goal. Okay. So let's see if we can move this. Oh, it is, okay, it's coming. So the way these puller works is the threaded machine thread on this lever is transferred through these arms onto the hub. Okay, you've doubled the distance. We're at about, well, that's 7/8, so we're over halfway there. Well, that's pretty close. If you squint with one eye, it's pretty much dead on. Check again. 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches. Now, if I was to build this thing from scratch, I'd probably cut a piece of tube to go around that shaft. That was the exact right length. Or I suppose if you were really wanting it to never move, you could put a spot weld on there right where you wanted it. I think for the purposes I have in mind for this, which is mostly lending it out to people who want to borrow my equipment, this is going to be good enough. Okay, now, gotta think about order of operations. Which is easier to get on? Oh, no, first thing is this. Okay, that's going to take a little time. So I'll check back in when I'm getting close to finishing that off. Square hole. Shift. Okay, so once that's mounted up, it gets secured with this little bolt that goes over top of that. Not that one, obviously. This one. So I'll put a washer there, and that'll hold that on. We won't put that on permanently until the machine's. So I think now, got that, motor's ready to go. So I think we're ready to start bolting stuff together. Okay, we'll let that cool for a while before we handle that. When I designed this thing in the first place, I wanted to try to have it be halfway safe, and so that meant I wanted the chain mechanism away from the operator as much as possible. So I have the transmission facing in this, or this is the back and that's the front in this orientation. So the mount for the drive is going to be sandwiched between the transmission and the load under normal operating conditions. So that's the theory there. Hopefully this all lines up. We did test it before, but some welding has happened since, and it's always theoretically possible that you warp something out of square. So one bolt in there. Oh boy. Yeah, I'm afraid we're not quite true anymore here. I'm going to put a nut in that one. We might have to do just a little bit of levering. Okay, we changed our perspective a little bit. I've got this thing now braced against with a clevis with my forklift so it can't fall on my head as I'm doing this. And what I want to do is put bolts through the base of the motor into these slots in the frame. That motor can then slide back and forth slightly, whoa, to provide my tensioning on the chain system. And then ultimately this is the throttle cable, goes up to the handle, and we put the chain on and the wheels on, and we're kind of there. So let's see if we can get these in here. Oh, it looks like I'm missing a bolt too. I use these magnetic trays to hold parts. They do usually a pretty good job. Well, the tray is its part. If you don't put the part in the tray, it's not the tray's fault. I clearly at some point set one bolt down in the wrong place. Now I'll have to dig through my inventory to find a match. And I only want these finger tight, because until I get that chain measured up, I'm not gonna be wanting to improve on that. Okay, so we have nothing is is fitted tight yet, but I've got the speed clutch on the back of the motor and the chain on the sprocket there. And then I have measure the chain on the bottom. This last joint link is the splicer, and the motor can shift this way to tighten it up. So I've got it as pretty much as tight as it'll go short. So the next link is the right one. Okay, so that's where I want to cut it, right there. Lots of beekeeping equipment has chains in it. I use stainless steel on an extractor, but this principle is the same. These things, so that's the joint, the cut I want to make out of this quite long piece of bulk chain. And then what I'm going to do is grind off the rivet and knock it through with a punch, and then I have the length I want. Okay, here's the complete chain. And not a bad fit, but once we tension that a little. Okay, making progress. Got the everything bolted down. Got the throttle cable attached up to this is basically scavenged out of a 10-speed bike, even including the brake handle for the throttle. And then I did find a spring that looks like it's got the right sort of characteristics to trigger and release that fork. So I probably, if it was in a new package in a box, I probably bought it back when I used these machines and never installed it. So anyway, it's on there now. Gotta put the wheels on. It's hanging from my forklift. You gotta be careful when you do this to make sure that your air stub is on the outside. Oh, I need to take the nuts off of here first. I'm missing one. Uh-oh. That might be tricky to shut down. Hey, we're on there. These go. He must be sitting on around somewhere. Okay, so you can see the differential action on this thing. The differential will be that component there, the transmission. But when the thing is at a standstill, one wheel turns, the other wheel turns. So when the thing is in idle, it's quite maneuverable, just like a regular cart. Okay. I think we're done. Let's bring it down and test it out. Okay, so when it's tipped forward, the wheels are off the ground. And that increases its kind of the ability to tip back a heavy stack, right? So when you're going under a load, you would hit the foot switch, drive forward under it, stand the cart up till it latches, and then tip back until you find your balance point, and then you drive away. That's the basic physics of making this a machine that can perform. Now we'll see if we can get it to run. So the way I used this was in the field, single stack pallets placed by the hives when the stack was up 5 or 6 high, which can be quite a heavy load of honey. Then we picked it up out of the grass. Sometimes you had to kind of feel your way in. If the grass was really long, it always helped to mow your bee yards. And then we drive to the truck, and I had a slide-out aluminum ramp fit in between the frame of the truck. You see these quite commonly on moving trucks or rental trucks. And then you pull the ramp out, it becomes level. So you drive up the ramp, you're level with the deck, drive to the front. So a beekeeper that's got, 50, 60 hives, you got a cart, go to U-Haul 2 or 3 times a year, rent a truck, bring your honey home, take the truck back. You might want to wash it out, destictify it a little bit. But, you can, most of your beekeeping you can do with a pickup truck, maybe even a station wagon or something. But then you got to get that honey crop home. You need a heavy-duty vehicle once or twice a year. If you got a machine like this, you can drive up a ramp and problem solved. And then when you get home, if you had a loading dock, most beekeepers that start out at some point dig a hole in their backyard to get their truck back level with their facility. I know, get a shovel and dig a hole. But you could also just pull that ramp out again and drive back down. And if you do that with this machine, then as it starts to run away from you, going down the ramp, you would, with it running, you just kick the throttle enough for that clutch to engage, and then let the motor act as a brake going down the ramp. And I did that many, many times. Works just fine. We sometimes had to unload trucks in a field, for instance, if it got stuck. And so you're running, 300 boxes back off a truck to get out of a pickle. And yeah, that motor will act very efficiently as a braking mechanism coming down. So you can go up and down a truck ramp quite easily with a machine like this. So now it's in working condition, forklifts break down, then I'm back to it, I guess, or my easy loader quits. You'll notice in the background I've got one of my spiders here. Been spending some shop time on those as well. I have 2 working machines and 2 parts machines. This is one of the parts machines. Not much left on it, and not the parts that I need. So my time with these old spiders is nearing an end, and I have ordered a new Beekeeper forklift, and one day it'll show up and I'll show you that.